Okay. So hope you can see my screen and everything. So as part of this session, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the real-time projects, right? So I can also mention here that so it's a kind of a okay, so real-time projects kind of a thing, so which is kind of a Kubernetes multi-node cluster setup on EC2. Okay, so multi on EC2. Okay, EC2 AWS, right? So now what are we going to do is that we are going to create a so far you have just installed Minikube. What is Minikube? So what is Minikube? Minikube is nothing but the single master node cluster. So if you install Minikube, you'll be having only one node, which is acts as a master and which is acts as a slave node as well, right? So master and worker node as well. Okay. So now as part of this session, what are we going to do is that we're going to be okay. So we are going to be creating a cluster of nodes. Okay. So first one is that we're going to be creating one master node. Okay, another two worker nodes. Okay, so one master node. This is one of the master nodes. Master node. Another this one is worker node 1, and then worker node 2. Okay, so this is something like which we are going to be creating it now. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to my EC2 dashboard. Okay, now so you all know about that AWS console, right? So I'm in my Mumbai region. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be creating. Okay, so I'm going to be creating. So some of the nodes are running. I'm going to stop all these things, right? So I'm going to delete all these things. Terminate, delete instances. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is that so there is nothing is running. I'm going to click on launch instance now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that cube. I'm going to give a name. Cube cluster. So cube cluster hyphen. Okay. So I'm just giving cube cluster only for now, and then I'll tell you why I'm giving cube cluster only. I'll be changing it later on. Okay. I'm going to create a 3 instance out of it. Okay. How many instances I'm going to create? 3 instances I'm going to create because as you can see here, I wanted to have master node as well as 2 worker nodes. Okay, I'm going to create the T2 dot medium instance. T2 dot medium instance is what I'm going to create because I need some enough CPU and memory resources. That's why I want to do that. Okay, so if you can scroll down, I'm going to be creating T2 dot small, T2 dot medium instances. So because for the testing purpose, you can also go with the T2 dot small instance as well. So but in the real time, okay, so if you go for the multi-node clusters, at least you should be having 1 CPU, 2 CPUs, and then 4 GB RAM is a prerequisites. It will be there so that you will be able to sustain with the pods. Okay, now I'm going to choose this. Okay, I'm going to choose this T2 dot medium instances. Okay, so I'm going to create a new key pair, but that is not necessary for now. Okay, so but as part of this one, okay, so I'm going to give cube cluster. Okay, key. Okay, this is what something I'm going to create. Okay, so I have just installed. I just downloaded this one. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a so the security groups and everything is there. Okay, and now I'm going to create launch instance. Right. So I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to be creating a how many instances I'm going to create? I'm going to create the 3 instances. Okay, so this is not much difficult, right? This is very, very simple. Okay, so if you can see here, so if you can come back and then if you click on the instances. Okay, let me just close this my another window because my laptop is getting very slow. Okay, so let me just close some of my windows. And I'm going to close this one as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that okay, so I'm going to don't save. Okay, now meanwhile that my Kubernetes cluster is ready. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to rename it. Okay, so I'm going to rename that this one is Kube cluster is a master. Okay, and then click on OK, and then next one is worker one, and then next is going to be worker. Okay, so worker 2. Fine, right? So now what I've done, I've renamed it like so Kubernetes master, worker, and worker 1 and worker 2, right? Just like this one. So this one is master, and then worker and worker node 2. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be installing the worker components. I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to install the master components in this particular node. Okay. So I'm just connecting with this one. Okay. Meanwhile, what I have to do is that you have to go to institution.com GitHub repository. I hope you all so have this repository, right? Now you can go to repositories. Okay, so there is something the Kubernetes multi-master node setup. There are 2 repositories, but I'm going to delete this one. So you can go with the first one. Okay, so there is something like there are 2 different installation script will be there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be explaining like what are the steps is going to be involving all as part of this installation. Okay, so click on this Kubernetes master install.sh. Okay, so now I'm going to be following the same thing. I'm going to copy paste this thing, and after that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run this one as a shell script itself, right? So you can also run this as a shell script. Otherwise you can also copy paste. So for now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy paste each and every command, and I'm going to show it to you how the output is going to be look like. Now okay, now for now I'm going to do a sudo. Okay, now I'm in my root, right? Now what I'm going to do is that the first command I'm going to be giving as a I'm going to be giving as a swap of -a, because for this as per the prerequisites, so the swap, the swap memory has to be turned off for the Kubernetes cluster. That's not something we have done for now. Next one is DNF install. So DNF is one of the commands, IP route packet, so this is one of the packages we need to install for the IP routes. So these are all the prerequisites for Kubernetes clusters to be able to deploy. Okay, you don't need to be memorizing all these kind of commands. So you can just understand what are the commands will be there. Now next one is mod probe overlay. So we are enabling. So mod probe is one of the module. Okay, so overlay is one of the module in Linux. If you want to enable that mod probe module, okay, so we are going to give mod probe and overlay. So what is overlay? Overlay is something related to the networking. Okay, so in Kubernetes, the Kubernetes will be using the overlay network to connect with all the pods, okay, all the network, all the nodes, right? So if somebody asking you that, okay, which kind of a network Kubernetes will be using, then you should be explaining that okay, Kubernetes is using overlay network. Okay, so we will discuss as part of this one in the separate classes. For now, the overlay network we need to be enabling as part of this process. Okay, so mod probe. Okay, so net filter is another module need to be enabled, right? Now what I'm going to do is that so module load 𝗂𝗍, so we will be loading this one. Okay, as part of what I'm going to do, I'm going to be creating the new file, and then I'm adding this, okay, these entries. so that in the next time, whenever the system is booting up, this module will be automatically loading. So you don't need to be do all these things. You don't need to be worrying about all these things, but you have to copy paste. Okay, so this will be created. Next time, this module will load automatically. Okay, now, so we're going to be creating one more file called systemctl_k8s.config1. Okay, and then we need to be having this. Okay, so the bridge, so the bridge NF call and IP tables enabling, IP forwarding. So we need to enable IP forwardings because what happens is that whenever we are creating 3 different nodes, okay, so the IP forwarding, so all the nodes has to be connected together. Some of the parameters has to be enabled for this one. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be copying this one and I'm going to be pasting it, entering. Okay, now if you can just do a cat of this file, okay, you'll be having all these entries in this file, right? So, but you don't need to be memorizing all these things. Okay, so now I'm going to do enabling this systemctl system, so that whatever the file we have created on this one, okay, it will be adding into the systems. Okay, now set enforce. Okay, we are just giving the firewall set enforce, enforcing the firewall, okay, to 0 because it's the disabling firewalls. Now AC Linux also, I'm just making some configuration enforcing to permissive because AC Linux is also again another firewall. Okay, these are the Linux advanced concepts. So these are the prerequisites to install the cluster node. Okay, so you don't need to be worrying about all these things, but these are the things is very much required for this one. Okay, now I'm just copying this one and pasting it because I'm just setting this AC Linux enforcing to permissive. This is AC Linux is something like a firewall. Okay, so it's kind of security feature on Linux. Now, next one is Kubernetes version. I'm just setting up the version to 1.2.9. Okay, so this kind of an environment variable I'm setting, so whenever we are running that kubectl installation, it will check that Kubernetes version. Okay, for now I want to take 1.2.9 version. Okay, there are a lot of different latest versions are there. If you want to use it, also you can use for this purpose. For this demo purpose, I'm using this. Okay. So the project paths. Okay, so project paths pre-release is main. These are some of the environment variable which need to be set. So in order for Kubernetes to pick it up, you don't need to memorize all these things. You just have to copy paste all the commands. That is enough for you. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a Kubernetes repository. So right now what happens is that, okay, so if you install Kubernetes, the Kubernetes will not work. Okay, so now we need to create the Kubernetes repository. Okay, now if you can see this one, this file does not exist. Okay, this file does not exist. Nothing is there here. Now I need to add, I'm going to be having some kind of entry in this file. Okay, so now if you can see this one, okay, some of the contents has been added. This is for the M repository. Okay, so if you want to install Kubernetes, you should have this repository to be able to connect with the Kubernetes website to get the packages. This is how the installation of the Kubernetes will work. Next one is that, okay, so CRI is the container runtime interface. Okay, so we need to have kind of installing a container runtime interface means we can also use Docker, okay, and the Rocket, and there are different kinds of the container runtime is there. Okay, so right now, so what is the most important thing is that the Docker. Okay, these are the prerequisites for the Kubernetes to be able to work. For example, here, for the Kubernetes to be able to work with this one, you should be installing one container runtime. Okay, so in this container runtime only will be deploying all the pods. Okay, we need to install that one. Right now, okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be installing DNF install like kubelet and kubeadm kubectl. So these are the things we'll be installing. Why? Because if we enable this repository, with this repository, it will be installing all these packages. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy and then paste it one. So as you can see here, what are the CRI0 and the container runtime interface? Okay, O and then kubeadm, kubelet, the kubelet. So these are the packages will be installing. Okay, so you don't need to be remembering, you don't need to be memorizing all these kind of commands, but it automatically will be able to install. Okay, now what are we going to do? We are installing all the packages in master node. Yes, right. We are installing all the packages in master node. Now, first of all, we need to make that master ready. Then we can go for the worker node, and then we are going to see how worker node will be able to connect with master node to be able to deploy the pods. So if you go for interview, you can just mention them that, sir, I've created this, multi-node master cluster, in the EC2 instances, and I know how to add the nodes, one more creating nodes and all these things I know. If you can explain all these things, the interviewer will be very happy that, okay, this guy have really done something extra. Okay, now this is done. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be systemctl enable and CRIO and then kubelet. So all these things, right? So systemctl, we are going to start and enable this thing so that it will be starting in the next run. Now, so this all comes under in Linux, right? So we already seen these commands in Linux, like systemctl start, enable. These are all the commands we already seen in Linux. That's why Linux is very, very important as part of this particular course. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be initializing the pod network. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that whenever I'm just going to do this pod network, when I'm going to do this one, okay. Now what is this? What is this one? This one is kind of a default, okay, container network interface IP address for the Kubernetes. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be enabling this pod network. I'm going to be enabling this pod network only on master node. Okay, right now I'm just enabling this thing only on master node. The worker node you'll be seeing. So these are all some of the components won't be available. So I'm just enabling this pod network. So what is this? What is this one? If you can go and put this thing in ChatGPT, it will tell you that so we have a different types of. Okay, so ChatGPT. I'm just opening ChatGPT. So you can just mention. Okay, so what is this? So we have different types of CNI is enabled. CNI means container network interfaces. Okay, so it's the Kubernetes cluster initialization commands, with the option called pod network CIDR, define the IP address range for using the pod in the cluster. Okay, now with the pods, network starts at 10.124 with IP ranges. Okay, so the why this value is used, commonly used for the flannel CNI. Okay, this is the standard IP address for the one of the container network interface. Okay, so now what we have done, we have just installed all the packages and then we are enabling the flannel network here. Okay. Okay, so we are just seeing the flannel network for this particular node. Okay, we are enabling the network now. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to be initializing. Okay, initializing the pod network, because if you don't enable it, okay, this communication will not work from this nodes to this node. Okay, so initialization of pod network, which is called container network interface, is very, very important concept as part of the Kubernetes. If you go for interview also, the interviewer may ask you that do you know what are the different types of container network interface are there? So there are so much of container network interface are there. So what are the things are there? One is flannel, another one is calico, the next one is weave. Okay, so the default is going to be flannel. Okay, the calico and weave will be used based on your requirement for the application. Some companies will be using calico, some company will be using weave. Understood? Now you know that why we use that particular IP address, right? That's the default IP address for the flannel network. Now you should not come and tell me that, sir, why we use this particular network, because now I'm going to install this, the kubeflannel.yaml script. Okay, so now I'm going to apply. So if you go and see this one, you go and see this file in the internet, you'll be able to see this so this big YAML file will be there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply this one from the online itself. Instead of copying and pasting it here in the local and then apply, that's also you can do. Instead of that, what you can do, you can also applying the remote itself. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do kubectl apply -f, it go to the internet, pick this file and then install. Okay, now okay, kubectl apply. Okay, so the connection is refused because we need to be enabling the port in the firewall. Okay, so now otherwise what we can also do is that we can also do like so like the network is not connecting, we can also copy and deploying it locally also. Okay, so what we can do, we can go to here, so Control A, Control C, and then I'm going to VI, so the .yaml. Okay, now I'm just pasting this one. Okay, now catch flannel.yaml. So okay, so this is kind of YAML scripts. Now I'm going to be applying kubectl apply -f. Okay, flannel.yaml. Okay, so still this is not working. Okay, so I think some of the thing is validating the field download the open API. So now some of the the command might be missed. So we'll see what has happened here. I want to know that whether this all this kind of package is installed or not. Okay, I hope that all this kind of package is installed. And also let me just try to enable that so this is this thing. I'm going to be going to security. For now I'll be enabling port, some of the ports like the 8080 8080 enabling. I'll be enabling 8080, and then I'll be enabling one of the another port called 6443. Okay, that is there in the okay, that is there in this one. Okay, 6443 also to be enabled to the internet. Now I'll be enabling 6443 ports, and then checking the rules. All right. Okay, now let me just do that reinstallation of this this one. Okay, so some error is coming. I think it's already been used. I think it's already been installed. Okay, so now I want to know that whether it is already installed or not. Okay, so everything is completed and everything is installed. Okay, now let me go back and see what happened to this one. Maybe that I missed some of the steps, or maybe I don't know. Maybe that after this one, there may be some of the other steps. Let me just see. Pod network, kubectl apply. Okay, I think we need to do this one as well. Okay, so let me just try this one. That creating the master install.sh. I have to be making this one, and we'll see. Okay, so mkdir cube and so cube config. I'm just going to copying. We'll see whether it works or not. So kubectl get nodes. Okay, so now the node is ready. Okay, so we are installed Kubernetes, and then the node, everything is working fine. Okay, maybe that whenever just now we install this one, it may take some time. Okay, so that the kubectl will be taking some of the time to enable it. Okay, so now because this is the real time kind of scenarios, you may get a lot of errors. So it's not like it will be working as a gem, right? Some of the times you will get errors. You should be seeing that what is the error you got and how to resolve it, and you have to keep moving on. Okay, now we have just started with this one. Then okay, so now it's got created. See, previously it was not working. Because whenever you're creating a network, it takes some time. You need to give some time for the network to be able to come up. Okay, immediately if you can run all the commands, it won't work. So you need to give some kind of a 1 minute of time for the network to be able to set up, and then connectivity will be checking all these things. It will take some time. Correct. Okay, now what you have done, if cubes will get nodes, you can see control plane. Okay, so one node, this is the master machine. Okay, so this is the master server, and then I install this master on this machine, right? Now what are we going to do is that we are going to be doing the same thing on this worker node, and then we are going to be connecting it. Okay, same thing what we are going to be doing here. Now we understand, right? Okay, so now we have created one master node, and then we install all the components, we enable the network, and then on this particular thing, so now you're going and seeing that cubes will get nodes. The node is working perfectly now. Now what I'm going to do, this is the Kubernetes master cluster master node. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to log into the second node, which means that I'm going to log into the one of the other worker nodes. Okay, so now I'm going to log into so just give me some time. It is just I'll be closing some of the okay. Now I'm going to click on this one. Okay, I'm going to click on connect. Now I'm going to click on connect here. Okay, now it will be opening. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to this repository. Okay, I'm going to this repository. I'm going to click on this one. Now I have a worker install.sh file is there, right? Now what I'm going to do, so this worker.install.sh, it has also the same kind of a configurations except the networking part. So networking things has to be done only on master, not on worker. But rest everything is exactly the same. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to clone this repository. I'm going to click on code, clone this repository. I'm going back to this one. I'm going to do a sudo su -, and I'm going to be git clone this one. If you give like this, you get error because I have not installed git. Okay, now I have to give yum install git -y. So the git will be installed. Okay, now what I'm going to do next, once the git is installed, I'm going to clone this repository, and then I'm going to be installing all the components, whatever it has been available for the worker node. This is to make the process pretty easier. Okay, now it has been done. Now I'm going to give git clone. Okay, now if you give ls, so that repository is cloned. This all the things is very simple, right? No, you guys know about this one. I'm going inside this, and then I'm going to be finding the worker node.sh scripts. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to do a /Kubernetes worker.sh. Before that, you have to do a permission. Okay, so chmod 400 plus x, and then worker node. Okay, now it has got the execution permission. Done. Now what I'm going to do, // and cube worker.sh. I'm going to just give enter. So now what's happening here is that all the things whatever we have done previously with all the kind of the creating of files and installing this repositories and kubectl, kubeadm, all these kind of things will be done automatically. Now the same thing also you can do from the master node also. If you know the process, you can download this master node.sh and you can just run it. It will work. Blindly it will work. Okay. But master node, you can just copy paste one by one just to make sure that so everything has been working fine or not. Now let's go back and see. Okay, now this one is got installed. Okay, so now we have installed all the components, right? Now you can see here. Here we have installed all the components. Installed. Now, so what is the IP address of this machine, or what's the DNS of this machine? Okay, this one, right? IP. Okay, or I can just take it this private IP is this one. Okay. Now I'm going back here and I'm just pasting it here. This is the IP. Now what I'm going to do is that we need to connect from master to, we need to connect these two, right? Now if you can go back and see, let's go back to the master. This is the master. Let's go back and check how many nodes are there still. Only one node is there. Yes, only one node is there. Now what we have to do, we need to connect to that worker node to this particular master node, so that we'll be having two nodes. This is the real-time interview questions that, so the most of the companies, you can go and tell them that, sir, I've done a 10 node cluster. I connected all these things. You can tell all the kind of different kinds of concepts you can say. So then the interviewer will be understanding, okay, this guy have really done some kind of hands-on experience, in their company, right? Now what I'm going to do is that if you want to join the cluster, okay, so what you have to do is that you should be, 1 second, let me just try to get, okay, now you can also see here, right? You can also see here, so whenever the master has got installed, okay, you can also master got installed. Okay, you'll be seeing some of the commands to join the cluster. Okay, so if you don't get it, okay, so the command for this one is going to be, okay, so if you go here, there is one command called, okay, so this is another, I'm going to copy all these things to that this thing. Now you can see this one. Okay, so kubeadm token create print join. So this is the command which we'll be using to get the token. We need to share the token to the worker node. That worker node will be able to join this cluster. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this command. I'm going to the master node. Make sure that you're in master node. Copy this one, enter it. Now what this command will give you is that, hey, if you wanted to make, okay, so this is the join command. Okay, so kubeadm create print join. So it'll give a token. Okay, so what Kubernetes will tell you is that, hey, if you wanted to connect your master with the worker node, okay, use this token. Okay, so what is this token is all about? The token is this one. Okay, so this one, this is the token, and then this is the discovery hash. Okay, this is the token, and then discovery hash. Okay, discovery hash is going to be this one. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be using these two things to connect to, okay, connect master to the worker. Now what I'm going to do, I have to just copy this command completely, and I'm going to the worker node. I'm just pasting it. Right, because I got the join. In order to join, I need a token. I needed to have the hash values so that the other node will be able to join the cluster. Now I'm going to enter. See, now the node has been joined to the cluster. Now what we have to do is that we go to here, and then we need to be get nodes. How many nodes it should be there now? 2 nodes. Yes. Okay, the control plane, and this one is not ready. Okay, so maybe that it'll be ready in some time, because just now it's got, see, now the control plane is ready as well. Right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more node, very fast. In the first phase, I'm going to clone it, I'm going to run it, I'm going to add to the cluster. Likewise, what you can do is you can just create some 7 to 8 nodes. Okay, you can just start your project and put this information in your resume that as part of Kubernetes, I've done that multi-master node cluster setup, how the company will be having the multi-node, how the pod will be allocated, all these things you can be able to explain. Now, I'm going to the next node. Next node is worker 2. Okay, I'm going to quickly connect it. So you know how to do this one, right? So I'm not going to take much time on this one. Okay. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to clone this one. Okay, before that, what I have to do? I have to install, right? Yum install git-y. Okay, after this installation, what I have to do? I have to go here, clone this, copy this code, and then git clone, and then I have to install this worker.sh, and then join to the cluster. Everything will be done. Okay, now so git is getting installed. Now yum install. Okay, now what I have to do? Git clone this one, done. Okay, now I'm going inside the Kubernetes because we have already seen all these things. Now chmod plus x Kubernetes worker node I want to install. Okay, Kubernetes worker components. Okay, now sorry, plus x. All right, now if we give ls./kube worker.sh, then it will be installing all the components of the worker. Next, what you have to do? Next, what you have to do? Next, what you have to do? We have to take this token, kubectl ADM join token, and then we need to be putting into the another worker node. So simple. Now I'm copying this one, and then I'm going to the worker node. I'm going to be okay. For now, I'm getting kubectl get nodes. How many nodes are there? 2. Now I'm going to be joining the node to this particular cluster node. Okay, what is this? What is IP address? This IP address is nothing but this IP address, right? That ADM join. This IP address is nothing but the master IP address. Okay, I'm going to be joining it now. Joining it now. Done. Now if you go back and check it, how many nodes should be there? 3 nodes. This one is control plane. What is control plane? Control plane is nothing but master node. But these two are the worker node. We can also change the label out of it. We need to, if you want to change the name, you need to change the label. Okay, how to change the label? So if you go back to this one. Okay, so the label you can see kubectl label node. Okay, so like this you need to be doing. Okay, so let me just try to find the complete command. Okay, kubectl label node, right? Kubectl label node. So I want to do label this node for now. What is the command? node-role.kubernetes.io node-io slash worker is equal to wo is worker. Okay, it's correct, right? node-role dot kubernetes.io slash worker.wo. Okay, so this node got labeled. If you go and see this one, get nodes, see it's become worker node. And then what we can do the same thing here. Okay, not labeled. Get nodes, see worker and worker is got ready. So if you want to check that whether all the components are working perfectly or not, what you have to do, you can just copy this command. Okay, kubectl get raw verbose. It will tell you that all the components are ping, log, etcd. Okay, all the components are working perfectly from the master node. You can just run this one. See, everything seems to be okay. All right, now if you can see, now we have got done everything, right? Now what I'm going to do, we have how many nodes we have now? 3 nodes. Okay, so 3 nodes, we have connected all 3 nodes together. This is what called 3 node cluster. Done. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be creating a pods. Okay, you're going to see that the pods will be allocating in between 2 different nodes. Now, when I'm creating a pod, if I don't give any kind of this thing, the pod will be going in here, 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 here. So randomly it will go and allocate the pod into the worker nodes. Okay. Now we are going to see that's how the pod will be created now. kubectl get pods. No pod is there. I'm going to be creating kubectl. Okay, run nginx -1. Okay, and then --- image equal to nginx. Created. Done. Now, if you can see kubectl get pods, one pod is created. Creating. In which node? Should be in master or worker? It should be in worker. Why? Because kubectl get pods. One pod is there. kubectl get nodes. Okay, so 3 node is there. Now, if you want to check the pod, okay, this just pod, in which node it got deployed? What you have to do? You have to go -o wide. So it's got deployed in which node? 205. 205 is first node. Okay, this one is 205. So I'm just naming it out like 205, right? This one is like 72.205 node. Now, understand? Now this pod deployed into third node, 205 node. Okay, now it got deployed here. Next, what we are going to do? I'm going to be deploying one more pod. Nginx pod number 2. Now, if you go and see the pod wide, see it deployed into where? Another node. Okay, it's 104. Now, if you go back and see, creating one more pod called 3. Now 205. If you go 4, see, it'll be keep on switching between. Okay, see, it go to one node, another node, one node, another node. First, it will go to this node, another pod will be going to this node. Why? Why it is happening like this? Why it is distributing like this? Why? Kubernetes is master is distributing the pod to multiple worker nodes in the equal load. Why? Because if only one node itself having all the pods, then the load will be so much. Yes, right. That's why it is distributing the pods across the multiple worker nodes. Okay, and then question is like so you won't be able to deploy any pods in master node by default. If you wanted to create it, then you have to be taint and all these things you have to do. That we can see some other classes. Okay, this is what called the real-time projects. If you go for real-time companies on cloud, if they're hosting that Kubernetes application, they do exactly the same thing whatever we are doing here. Understand? Okay, so in the next classes we are going to see. I'm going to stop the recording, and next classes we are going to see the furthermore real-time projects on Kubernetes. Okay, so I want you guys to be creating these projects, and then I want you to be showing tomorrow when you're coming it. Show me all the steps on this one. Okay, I'll be posting the GitHub repository. Okay, in the WhatsApp group, so that you'll be able to get all the information. Okay, so thank you so much.